Hi friends, welcome again. Today, let me begin with describing the problem that we are trying to solve through our product management training program. We are all engineers by education, and after graduating, we enter into corporate world as babies. And initially, we play a role in the software development teams as a developer or a QA or an implementation engineer or maybe a BA. Gradually, after gaining some experience in the company, we move up in the ladder. After 3 to 4 years, some of us transition to the role of a tech lead. Some of us get into a QA lead role. Some of us transition to the level of a BA or a project manager. Few of us get into the role of a product management. And when this transition happens from working into a product development area and moving towards the product management role, there is one positive thing that happens. That is, we have an excellent understanding of technology. We are good at working with Scrum teams. We are good at working with engineering teams. So the engineering pillar of the software product management is good, is awesome. However, the business strategic thinking and design thinking aspects of product management are still a gap. And we are bridging this gap through our product management training program. So that was a brief about the problem that we are trying to solve here. Now let me talk about the agenda of today's session. So I have got two topics to cover. The first one is what are the different software product development methodologies. And the second topic is software development lifecycle from the product manager's perspective. Let's begin. Yes. So there are two popular product development methodologies which most of us are familiar with. The first one is waterfall model. Now this is a step-by-step, very linear method of building a software product. It starts with understanding the requirements, analyzing it, and then defining those requirements in the form of a product requirement document. And then once that is completed, we move into the design phase, right? Once the design is thoroughly done, the architecture is finalized, the user experience design is finalized, we get into the product development phase. Once the development is completed, we get into testing, integration, and subsequently deploy it and then maintain it, right? Now, there is one challenge with the waterfall model, and we are all aware about it, that the challenge is that it takes a long time to release the software, typically a year or more than that. And during that time frame, the customer preferences or the customer requirements might change. And then we are too late in the game. So in order to handle this challenge, the software development was done in an agile way. Now agile has got a capability to handle the changes in requirements after every sprint, because the software is built in small iteration, in small batches, typically in a cycle of 2 to 3 weeks time frame, right? So that is an advantage of agile, that it can accommodate the changing requirements, right? However, there is a third method of building software products as well, and we are going to discuss and focus on it from here onwards. The third method is called the hybrid approach. Now hybrid approach is a combination of both waterfall methodology as well as the agile methodology. What happens in hybrid approach is the product manager plan things up front. They conduct the user research, they look at the market, and they analyze the different competitors, what are the features that competitors are offering, and then they spot the right opportunity, After doing all of this, they define the problems, they define the clear-cut product requirements, right? And once that is done, then the engineering team adopts the lean approach to build the software product. That way, hybrid approach takes advantage of both waterfall and agile methodology. So it takes the positive points of waterfall in terms of the proper planning, right? And it also takes an advantage of to be able to accommodate the changing requirements when they are building it incrementally. When they build it incrementally, they can release it to the production, and then at the same point of time they can also get the feedback and get it validated from the customers, and those changes could be accommodated in the subsequent sprints, right? So plan, change, adopt, develop with the speed, right? And in an iterative model, right? So that was about 3 different ways of building software products: waterfall, agile, and hybrid approach. Now coming to the second topic of the session is software product development lifecycle from the product manager's perspective. Now there are 5 stages in software product development lifecycle from PM's perspective. The first is identifying and planning the right opportunity. Once this is done, comes the designing the solution, then building the solution, finally sharing the solution, marketing it, going to market, and fifth is assessing the solution, analyzing the matrices, right? Measuring, and then again improving based on the measurements, based on the matrices that are tracked, right? We'll get into the depth of each and every phase. Let's begin with the first one, that is identifying and planning the right opportunity. Now this is the fundamental job of a product manager, to find out what to build next and what problems should be solved. And this is done in 3 parts. The first is strategically understanding the company. As a product manager, the first step is to understand your organization capabilities strategically. Second, you create an opportunity hypothesis first, and then you validate the hypothesis that whatever we have assumed, whatever we feel is an opportunity, is validated from the customer side. Now we can get into the second phase of designing the solution, right? Let's get into the depth of each and every one. How do you strategically understand the company? So here are some points. Who is the target customer, and what is the customer value that you want to offer to that particular targeted customer? What are your company expertise? What is the company capability, right? Who are the other players in the market trying to address the same problems for the targeted customer segment, right? Analyze those competitors. What is their differentiator, and how can I as a product manager create a differentiator in my product? To strategically understand the company, you also need to understand what are the external environmental factors that impact the business and subsequently the product decisions, right? And you also need to understand the company goals. Is user acquisition the goal, or revenue, or the customer satisfaction, and accordingly define the features. If the goal is revenue, then you have to create features for monetization. If the goal is to delight customers, then you will have to build features that they will love using your product, right? And they get addicted and they get hooked to your product, right? And most important, to understand your company strategically, understand why does company exist. Is design is the core strength? Is engineering is the core strength, right? Or is marketing is the core strength? And what is the company vision, right? Step number 2 is creating an opportunity hypothesis, right? Now to create an opportunity hypothesis, you need to understand whether fixing a bug would help you solve the customer problem, or you need to create a new feature, right? And you need to look at multiple sources of data, right? The first source is that observe the consumer behavior patterns when they are using your web application. You may want to track the user journey on the application and identify whether the customers are dropping at a certain point, right? And then you might come to a conclusion that there is a defect in the system, and as a result of which the customers are dropping at a particular point at the checkout page, and then you might want to fix that defect, and that can help you achieve the goals. Or if that is not the case, then you might want to create a new feature or a new product category in your product that can help you achieve your business goals, business outcomes, right? So to create opportunity hypothesis, you need to understand the company context and goals, talk to your users, analyze the usage trends, bug reports, the feature request. They will all form input to a new opportunity. Now, the third step in strategically in identifying and planning the right opportunity is validating the opportunity. See, engineering is very costly. We all have got limited time and resources, and hence validating the idea much in advance saves the time. So customer validation is an important activity for a product manager. One of the ways to validate is through an MVP. MVP is those minimum set of features that will address the opportunity well for the early adopter category of customers, right? For example, Dropbox did not build the solution initially when the idea was stuck to the mind of Drew Houston. He simply created a video and then launched it on a platform, and he got some sign-ups, and that way he validated that idea was fantastic. He can go ahead and start building the solution, right? There is another approach. If you don't validate the solution, then it is very harmful to the business. You try to build the perfect product with all the features, and when released, you realize that customers are not using the product and they did not need it, right? And that is going to be very harmful to the business. Now, once the validation phase is completed, you are sure that you have identified the right opportunity, and that is when you define the product requirements. So the product requirements document is the output of the first phase of software product development lifecycle, that is identifying and planning the right opportunity. That is the first outcome or the first deliverable of a product manager, right? And it includes the problem definition. Why are we going for this opportunity? How will we handle this problem at a very high level, and what are the key success matrices, right? Once the first phase is completed, we move on to the second phase of the software product development lifecycle, that is designing the solution. Now in this phase, the product manager works with the designers to create the user experience for the software application. The designers and the product manager together go and do the user research, and then they come up with the information architecture, in which order the information would be presented to the user, and then define a very high level wireframes, right? And the high level prototypes, and then these design is validated again with the customers, right? And once the validation of the prototype is completed, at that point of the time, design is complete, right? And engineering has also looked at the wireframes and the prototypes, and they have agreed to the viability of the solution, that this is something doable and achievable, and that is the outcome of the design phase, right? And that is when design is said to be done, right? When the prototypes are validated and engineering has also agreed with the viability of the solution. The third phase is your strength area if you are coming from the engineering background, that is building solution, right? We have looked at it. There are three ways of building the solution: waterfall, agile, and hybrid, right? Here product manager is involved with the engineering team. He'll help them prioritize the features, bugs, and maybe help them test software, take part in the scrum ceremonies, right? You'll have to make some trade-offs, like negotiate on the technical debt. Sometimes you'll have to ask engineering team to write the kludgy code, which is not good for the long term, and accept a short-term debt, short-term tech debt to provide the customer value faster, right? Or sometimes you'll have to make a call where you'll go forward and say that let's fix a tech debt first to make the system stable, right? And one important point to note is like many corner use cases are actually identified when engineers start building the solution, right? Which are missed in the product definition and even in the design phase. So you might want to listen into your engineering team and incorporate that feedback and change the features, right? And during development, share prototypes with the internal team and customers to test and get the early feedback, right? And when that feedback is received, you might want to pivot again, right? And this phase is completed only when the working software is available, tested and ready for release, right? Moving forward, the fourth phase, and this phase is going to be one of the differentiators of a product manager, right? That is product marketing, sharing the solution. This begins after the product is built and ready for release. In this phase, the product is shared with the world and you let customers know how product solves their problems, right? The objective here is to communicate the value proposition to the customers, right? Go-to-market plan is prepared with the help of the go-to-market team and the right messaging. Demand generation is done. Awareness programs are created so that customers are aware about the product through the channels in which they are available. You reach out to them along with your marketing team. In a B2B software product, we generally plan for beta testing, right? And then you create the marketing assets for your website, or maybe give the trial versions to the limited people, right? And you work with the key partners before releasing the software, right? And then the brief for the press release and planning a launch event. This phase is complete when the product is generally available for the customers to use. The marketing campaigns can continue post-launch as well when the development team has moved to another version of the product, right? The final phase, the fifth phase, is about assessing the solution using the product analytics, right? So here you have defined what you want to measure, right? And then you look at all the numbers based on the features that you have released. Is there a customer adoption? Are customers getting retained who are acquired, right? Are they willing to pay for the product, or is there a drop in the user journey? You look at all of these data points and then you take some actions, take some decisions, right, to improve these numbers. That is what is happening here in this phase, right? And then you take a call. Should we iterate more on some features which are very rarely used? Shall we stop doing product development on those features, right? Or shall we move on to something else, right? So all of these decisions are made at this phase, right? So what we have covered is 5 important phases of software product development lifecycle from a product manager's perspective. Now to summarize, what we have covered in this video is software product development methodologies, waterfall, agile and hybrid. What we have also looked at is these 5 phases of software product development lifecycle from the product manager's perspective. First is identifying the right opportunity, right? The second is designing. The third is building the solution. Fourth is marketing it. And then finally assessing the solution, measuring the solution and taking the right decisions, right? Yes. So thank you so much for your patience and listening to this video. I'll bring on some more content for you, more learning for you from here onwards. Thanks a lot once again.